Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and today on my Facebook page I asked you guys to propose some topics for a vlog, for my vlog channel, and I got two pretty interesting proposals. One was for me to talk about my thoughts on the legalization of marijuana, which I plan on getting to shortly, but the one I want to discuss right now was proposed by my buddy Jason Neal. He asked me about getting older, becoming an adult, and the responsibilities inherent with becoming an adult, entering the workforce, starting a family, paying bills, etc., etc., etc. And I'm 32 years old. I'll be 33 in July. I'm a homeowner. I own a car. I pay a lot of bills. And you hear a lot of people say, I never thought I'd live to be 30. The people who, have adopted this live fast, die young kind of mentality, which I think a lot of kids in high school particularly have. When I was in high school, when I was in college, it's not that I was like, I don't think I'll live to be 30. It was I never thought beyond. I never thought of 30. I never thought of my adult life. That was just, something that would happen eventually. I would wake up one day and I'd be an adult and I'd have a job and a car and a house and a wife and, the picturesque Disney version of adulthood with, the two kids, the white picket fence, the house, the wife, the dog, that kind of thing. So I lived very much for the day. I did not think beyond, really that moment. And I don't live with a lot of regrets. I don't regret that at all. I think living for the moment helps you to appreciate that moment, to appreciate that day. Even in college, when it came time to, select, what degree are you wanting to go toward, I couldn't just select one because I didn't really know if that's what I wanted to do. That might sound good today, but tomorrow my feelings could change. So I selected 3 degrees that sounded interesting to me. So to have some options on which way to go once I entered the real world. And I think that's something that's some knowledge that I would like to impart on, my younger viewers, the people who are in high school, people who are in college. I knew a lot of people in high school who were planners. They were working really hard today to prosper from it tomorrow. And I really didn't get those people. I didn't understand them. What I would like for you guys to do is appreciate the day. Appreciate this day, but don't be afraid to look forward. And do indeed look forward. What do you want to do with your life? Because pretty soon, whether you love high school or not, you're going to be out. And once you're out of high school, you've got, I think 3 options. You've got college, you've got the military, or you join the workforce. I guess there is a 4th option if you have very understanding parents, which is to, continue living with your family, the failure to launch scenario. Anyway, I breezed through high school, I breezed through college. Before I knew it, I was out. I was out into the real world, the big, scary real world. And for about the first 2 years out of college, the first year I didn't do anything by choice. The second year I didn't do anything. I couldn't find a job to do. Because, the area that I lived in, it was, very, not a lot of infrastructure, not a lot of jobs, small town, you know, nepotism, things like that. So the second year I did nothing because I was basically forced to do nothing. This leads into sort of my second bit of wisdom. When you're assessing what you want to do with your life, number one, aspire. Number two, be realistic. If you want to be a marine biologist and you live in Kansas, I don't think there's a big call for marine biologists in Kansas. You're going to have to move away. You're going to, you know what I mean? You're going to have to move to the coasts, I think, most likely. If you live in Arkansas and you want to be an actor, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of opportunities to be an actor in Arkansas. You need to move to New York. You need to move to Los Angeles. Be realistic. Look at your area. Look at what jobs will, number one, fulfill you, you will prosper from personally and professionally, and of course financially in your area. And you know, don't be afraid to move. That was definitely one of the problems that hindered me early on in my job hunt, was I didn't want to move. I did not want to move. And that was a problem. Entering the workforce, you know, I've been in the workforce for going on 6 years. I, with a steady job, you know, your standard 9-to-5 desk jockey office job. And I like the job. I like what I do. It's fulfilling. I feel good about myself most of the time because of what I do. I like the people that I work with. And you know, it pays the bills. It's not the best paying job in the world, but it pays the bills. It has benefits. You know, it has afforded me a house. I bought a house about 1.5 years ago. I bought a car. You know, I have a lot of bills. Those are things that are scary. When you buy a house, you lock yourself into a mortgage for, you know, usually it's going to be like a 30-year mortgage. The next 30 years of your life will be spent paying off a house. If I stay in this home where I'm at, I continue to pay on it, the amount that I'm paying now, I will have it paid off. I'll be 62 probably, 61, 62 when the house is paid off. That is a 30-year mortgage. That's a major, major thing. I was very proud when I bought my house. Phone's ringing. I'll be right back. All right, now where was I? Being a homeowner, being locked into a 30-year mortgage. I mean, that requires, you know, number one, a good job that pays enough money for you in order for you to afford a mortgage, and number two, that is stable enough that it's going to be around long enough for you to be able to pay off the mortgage. Then you're getting into the area of benefits, of retirement, of health insurance. Those are all things that you know, need to think about, that you need to assess when you're looking into, you know, the job field. Bills, I mean, I pay a lot of bills. And you know, sometimes a bill or two I just overlook until I get that second notice that I'm past due and that I need to, you know, pay it immediately. You know, debt. I mean, debt is the American way. It's almost designed to get you in debt early and keep you in debt until the day that you die. Manageable debt is the way to go. You know, I don't have extensive credit card debt. I've been lucky enough to not, or smart enough, I guess, to, you know, not get into a whole lot of, like, you know, credit card debt. I mean, yes, I'm in debt with a house, with a car, with, you know, stuff like that. As far as, you know, credit card debt and that kind of debt, you know, I've been smart enough and lucky enough not to go down that road. Because I think a lot of, you know, when you turn 18, You know, you get your, you know, your draft thing from the military, and you start getting those pre-approved, you know, Visa, MasterCard, whatever, to try and, you know, give you a credit card, and it's free money because you're not actually paying money out. You're just handing somebody a card, they swipe it, and you go on, and then pretty soon, you know, you've got a bill in the mail for $1,000 that you cannot pay, and you are not only in debt, but you're past due. Your credit is jacked up. Good credit is something that is imperative today. I mean, you can't get a cell phone plan with a provider, a cell phone provider. I actually got into a conversation one day with the cell phone provider because if you have bad credit, you can't even get a cell phone if you have bad credit. And I remember, like, the first cell phone plan that I went in on, the guy's like, okay, we need to do a credit check. And I said, well, why? And he goes, well, you know, it's just like when you're buying a car. And I said, but I'm not buying a car, I'm buying a phone. And he goes, well, we still have to do your credit check. And if you have bad credit, which, I mean, luckily at the time, I think at the time when I had virtually no credit, you know, I had to pay a down payment on a friggin' cell phone service. But good credit, I mean, goes toward so much. I mean, getting the money to buy a house, to buy a car. You know, I couldn't have done that without good credit. So, I mean, that's something that you really need to work toward, is building good credit and maintaining good credit. You know, your career, I mean, we talked about that. Jason also wanted to talk about, you know, bills, which I talked a little bit about that. You know, family, kids. I mean, that also sort of goes back to, you know, your career. I mean, you want to be financially sound. You want to be ready to have kids, of course, but you also want to be financially sound to be able to support a family. And, you know, today, I mean, there's very few, you know, you don't see the classic sort of, you know, Leave It to Beaver archetype of the dad goes out and he works 9 to 5 and the mom stays home and she's the stay-at-home mom, she's the homemaker. You see people who have to, you know, the mother and the father both have to work in order to make ends meet. That's just the way it is. You know, and kids and family and marriage and things like that. You know, that's something, you know, I'm not married. You know, I've been in a relationship with a woman that I love for, you know, about 1.5 years at this point. You know, I certainly envision myself getting married to her at some point. I don't think I'm ready for that right now. She's not ready for that right now, but that's something that we would, you know, we've talked about. We've said we need to, you know, plan this and do it this way and blah blah blah. You know, those are things that, you know, again, require planning. You know, they don't call it Fools Rush In. You know, they call it Fools Rush In for a reason, and that's not just because, you know, that's not just, that can be linked to so many things other than just simple marriage and relationships and you know, children. You know, fools rush into, you know, everything. Which sort of leads me back to my original premise, was to respect and enjoy the day while looking forward, while, you know, not being afraid to give some thought or some plan toward, you know, the future. And it, you know, that little bit of planning, you know, and that's, I think, you know, that's one of the minor regrets that I have, was that I didn't necessarily plan. I used to think plans are, you know, plans are just plans, and plans get broken all the time, which they do. But some good game planning, you know, thinking ahead, not rushing into things, being smart about career paths, about, you know, what you buy, about, you know, budgeting, about, you know, all those things that I talked about in this video, I think will, you know, will lead you to to be more prosperous, to be more satisfied. Also, getting older, your health, I had a kidney stone a couple of years ago. Wow, never imagined I would have a kidney stone, and it was totally unpleasant. My doctor said, you need to change. You need to change. You need to change the way you eat. You need to change, the things you're putting in your body. You need to exercise. You need to get healthy. You need to get fit. And, I think that was a huge wake-up call to, number one, yes, I'm getting older. And number two, I'm not in great shape. I was always someone who was a big guy, but I was always someone who was very active, who played sports, who was always on the go. When you become an adult, when you get out of college or high school, and you have a job like I do, like I said, which is 9 to 5 office job behind a desk, you aren't active. You're not on the go. You're enjoying, your fast food every day for lunch. You're not healthy. And that caught up with me in the way of a kidney stone. And that was a major, major wake-up call for me to, go to the doctor more often, to have blood tests. I mean, I used to hate blood tests. Hate blood tests, not because I'm scared of needles, but because it's very difficult for them to find veins in my arms, and they would usually butcher me to actually find a vein. So, now I go to the doctor. Now I ask for regular blood tests. I mean, my doctor wanted to give me a blood test, and I was like, well, I want you to add this to it, and this to it, and this to it, and I want to know everything. I want you to run it through every, the entire gamut. Every test you've got, run that blood. And, luckily, I have changed the way that I eat. I have changed the way that I do a lot of things since I had that kidney stone. And, aside from my cholesterol being a little bit high, I have a very clean bill of health, which I'm very happy for. I'm getting up there to the point where, I think they want you to start when you're about in your late 40s, maybe early 50s, even earlier, if your family has a history of, especially if you're a man, of, colon cancer, to have colonoscopies done on like either every 3 years or every 5 years or something like that, depending on, if there's a family history of that. So you definitely, your body slows down, your metabolism slows down the older you get. And, if you're not treating your body, well, it definitely catches up with you. And I would urge everybody out there who, if you drink a lot of soda, number one, you will get kidney stones. Number two, it will destroy your teeth. That's something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about was, as far as the health is concerned, was my teeth. For the first probably 25 years of my life, I had perfect teeth. All of a sudden, boom, cavities, because I drank so much pop. The acid and the sugar in the pop wore away all the enamel on my teeth and made them very, very susceptible to cavities. Very, very susceptible to cavities. So, that's something that you have to change too. That's something that will catch up to you. Changing the way you eat, changing what you drink, exercise is definitely something that you need to, adopt. Those are things that, as you get older, you need to take care of your body, certainly a lot more than you had when you were younger. In life decisions, you're forced to make difficult life decisions when you're an adult, and, you're not always going to make the right choice, but if I'm not sure, you know, those decisions are just things that we all have to be faced with at some point or another, and they're difficult. And you know, adulthood is difficult, and the real world is difficult. And you know, I've discovered all those things. You know, in my own experience as an adult in the real world, in the workforce, being someone who pays their bills, being someone who's, like I said, who's bought a house, who's bought a car, who has a lot of responsibility. And that's the key word that's the key word, responsibility. So yeah, you know, I hope I covered a lot of the bases, Jason. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. I hope I've been able to impart some of my, you know, some sage tidbits of knowledge and wisdom onto you guys. If you have any other questions, please feel free to comment below. Ask me anything. I'll do my best to answer. I don't have all the answers, but like I said, you know, I've been around the block several times. Like I said, I'm 32 years old. I mean, you know, I'm getting up there. You know, I'm an adult. You know, that's a hard realization. It's a hard thing to admit. You know, childhood is over, and you know, you're all grown up now, and you got to make those tough life decisions and those tough choices, and you've got to live with this. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time.